working with him to lower your cost of living. Okay, that's what it's going to take to get it, what it's going to take to stop the train and then get it on a new track, to turn this ship around, to get this worm to turn. It's going to take us working together. And yes, I'm all for trying, doing our best and not letting people live in ignorance and just being part of the problem unwittingly. They don't even know, or they don't care. They got blinders on. Ignorance is bliss. I can't, that's just too big of a can of worms. I can't deal with that knowledge. I can't, that's Pandora's box. So they look at knowledge and wisdom and that empowerment that comes with it as a burden that they don't want. Ignorance is bliss. Just put blinders on. I can't deal with it. I got my own issues, and this is what I fear for humanity, that too many people are doing this. And their conscience are not good. They're not pure. They're not clean. They have seared it. They have said, look, I value this more than that. So I am going to spend my time, attention this way. This is where my affections lie. This is where my safety and security lies, is with the money. I can't worry about that. And what they're doing is they're searing their own conscience by not caring. They're saying, oh, but you're just religious. So they write it off. They'll poo-poo everything, But we won't talk about morality, ethics, principles. We won't talk about sound business practices and any of this stuff. I mean, there's so many people that are just capitulating, going along with this thing, that are contributing to the problem because they can keep up with the increasing cost, because their numbers are okay. That they're, even though there's inflation in the land, that they see their wealth growing, and so they'll keep capitulating, keep willing to pay a higher and higher cost of living, not even wanting to look at the fact that that's hurting other people that aren't as strong as them financially. They don't have the numbers. They can't do it. And it keeps getting harder and harder, and there's more wreckage. There's more damage in the land. There's more death and destruction. And this is by intent. And it's not being overly cynical. Okay, it's not being overly it's just the way it is. It's looking at things squarely. They need people dying out on the streets to extract the exorbitant rents and mortgages. Do you see how horrible, how devilish, how diabolical, how evil that is? And you want to be a part of that and just capitulate and just say, well, I'm willing to keep paying more and more. Oh my God, you understand we're headed for destruction? And you're spending $50 billion a year on keeping people from being homeless, and the problem keeps getting worse, even with that welfare subsidy, that perpetual welfare subsidy, and nobody even talks about it. Alex Jones show won't touch Section 8, and let's talk about the implications and the ramifications if the government got rid of that subsidy, how there'd be like tens of millions of people would be homeless on the streets of America all of a sudden. But that'd be good. So you could say, what are you, some right-wing nut job out there? You would dump all those people out on the streets, and you're talking about how you care about the homeless? I say, let's fix the problem, man. Let's grab the bull by the horns. Let's play hardball. Let's get crazy, okay? Let's fix our damn problems. Let's insist that they be fixed, and stop accepting tyranny. Stop accepting tyranny. That's what I'm saying. And that's what we're doing by capitulating to this status quo and this trajectory into madness. Okay? It can't go on. It's a pyramid scheme. I'm telling you, the entire economy is a pyramid scheme. Social Darwinian is a pyramid scheme. Even the elite that perpetuates, they don't believe that crap, because they know at the end of the day, if they got rid of all the weak links in society and it was only them left, they'd start devouring each other. That's the nature of the beast. These people are animals. They don't care about conscience, principles, integrity, honor, ethics, morals, none of that crap. They're evil people. They're madmen. They're murderous gaggle of thugs is who's running the show. That's who's at the top, creating the policies we have to all live under. Oh, man. It's tough to face the music. So we understand the paradoxes are abounding, and the one about, why God allows all the problems in the land, it's not his fault. It was never his will that we even had disease and death. Okay, that wasn't. That all came with the curse. So there's a lot of paradoxes we're contending with, and some pretty profound ones. That's a very profound one that people need to know about. People have questions. Atheists have questions, and they have a right to those questions being answered by anybody that believes in the Bible, calls themselves a Christian. You got to answer their questions about death and disease and natural disasters and hot and cold. If God's all powerful and all loving, why he lets all these horrible things happen? You got to talk about that free will choice, and the curse, the fall of man, and the consequential issues that we have, the sin, and all these problems. We're not supposed to even know that we're naked. What a departure that is from how it is. What a departure. Think about that. Could you imagine? I mean, even man, we can't make laws about this. They can't stop people. People want a nudist colony. They want to have nude beaches. I mean, because they know deep down, society knows, well, there's really nothing immoral. And the Bible does say, who told you you were even naked? So we're supposed to be mature about this stuff. We're supposed to be oblivious. We're not supposed to be lusting, and that should not be an issue, is it? Of course it is. Of course it is. Look at pornography. I mean, how many men just love to look at naked women, for example. Pornography is abounding. I don't know how many women. I'm not going to talk for women. But I know that men, it's very common. It's very typical. It's pretty much ubiquitous among men that they love this, but they also hate it. They hate to be weak. They always want to be strong. So it's a huge paradox. But it's a good example, one of many, of another paradox, right? That, hey, on one hand, I love this thing, doting over the beauty that God created. And what can be wrong with doting over God's finest creature? Okay, but what's the other side? Okay, you understand? That it's a real downer too. That you don't want to be weak. You don't want to engage in anything that you think might not be proper in the sight of God or man, whatever. I mean, because it's one of those kind of issues that people don't even want to talk about. I don't like to talk about it. But, this is part of what comes with life. I mean, you're a human, and we need to talk about these things. And some people say, oh, well, Jesus said, to look at a woman who commits adultery, and you're better off to cut your hand off and all. I say, wait a minute. If God knew it was inevitable that there was going to be this ubiquitous, goings on of this behavior, of self-gratification, for example, then, if he was so bad and horrible in his sight, could he have given us claws to make that pretty much impossible? Okay. Do you understand? So God makes sense when nothing else does. And this is why, at the end of the day, we all need to turn to God for the satisfaction of just enjoying life, to cope, to know that we're understood and loved, okay, more than anybody can know and understand and love us. And this is a beautiful thing, that in our weakness, his strength is perfected. And that's not even easy to explain what it means by that. But he wants us to know it's him that's the provider. Okay, he's not the one that's charging you when you pick a piece of fruit off a wild fruit tree. Okay, he's not there. That'll be $1, please. He didn't invent money. It's not his fault that we have any of these problems. They're all invented by men. Money was invented as a means to facilitate theft in the land. Get that straight. It's not God's fault, and it's going to go because it's inconsistent. It's incompatible with life on earth when God's will is established. And that day is coming. I talk about capital punishment sometimes, and that was on my mind recently. But you got to admit that capital punishment is premeditated murder. It's malice aforethought on the part of the public at large. So, we should all think long and hard about that and, just be honest. That's what it is. In fact, extremely. I mean, they commiserate over these things. Oh, well, what should we do? I mean, we got to have vengeance for the offended party. So this is justice. We got to murder this guy for justice. So they've thought it out, they've ruminated over it, and they've come to a very calculated decision that capital punishment. Yeah, I'm on the side of the majority. The majority is right. Mob mentality rules in the land, and even though yes, it's malice aforethought. I seek to do him harm. I seek to murder him, and yes, of course, it's premeditated, obviously. So it's first-degree murder. So why shouldn't every person that believes in capital punishment, since they're prescribing capital punishment, why shouldn't God give you capital punishment? You understand? Look, and I don't shed any tears when if they got caught red-handed with their pants down. Look, I'd rather see spontaneous capital punishment like Moses did. Okay, But to see it the way it is, all planned out, premeditated, put people on death rows their whole life, and this is, they already have to live with whatever they've done. So I'm just saying, just chew on the things I talk about, and I'm not hearing anybody else talk about. Last week I forgot to talk about Mike Adams, the health ranger, was on the Alex Jones show. He was talking about this toxic, acute, ongoing poisoning through this sludge crap. They're dumping human crap out in the country, and it's poisoning water supplies. And it was very serious. He's got a free DVD he's given out. And look up the Health Ranger and Mike Adams and get that free DVD and see if you can learn anything from that. But I'm convinced he knows what he's talking about, and we should take this matter very seriously. Toxins in the water supply, yeah. I mean, they don't. Not only do they don't care if we're killed and poisoned, they want us to die. Look at the Georgia Guidestones. They want to get the Earth down to 500 million. They're sick, twisted people. They're evil. Oh boy, I talked already a lot about crony capitalism and why this is being done on purpose, but they know what they're doing. They're trying to cause problems. They want chaos. They don't want us to figure it out and get along with each other. These demonstrations, they have this so-called women's march, which I think is just a term to divide. People think it's a men-women issue. Oh, you're against this, you're against women. It's like, no, it's a bunch of bull. This has all been done. George Soros is fomenting a lot of this stuff. He's paying these people. So they're employees, a lot of them, directly or indirectly, of George Soros. So they got all these handlers out there. And when anybody that is a newbie, okay, to the special interest group, they got these handlers in there to get them away so that they don't get fed what they think is propaganda from the enemy with any conservative values or any ideas that, hey, maybe it'd be fiscally conservative. Let's talk about the cost of living. That's what needs to be done. I mean, I see, in fact, I want to talk about Owen Schroyer going out to these things and, how he kind of makes a spectacle of himself and makes himself obnoxious, but he thinks he's trying to. He knows it. But, I see him getting triggered. So this is what he's always claiming he's doing to others, getting them triggered, but he's triggering himself and kind of not, I don't know. Yeah, I see myself in him. I see, I can be asinine too. I see Alex Jones, that obnoxious, asinine, side. So I got to confess my own asinine, obnoxious self before I start pointing fingers. So, I like Owen. I think he and I would get along fine. He's a young guy and, he'll learn. I think that, we all, guys like us, we might have a touch of autism and it can affect you in that way. Like you're kind of oblivious to your own kind of like, you're just get this self-righteous, pious kind of, in your face and, I'm right, you're wrong attitude. It's not healthy. It's not becoming. It's not effective. It's not productive, I think. And that's what we really should be after here is really trying to reach people with the truth, the whole truth, nothing but truth, and get educated, be able to talk to people, be able to defend capitalism, be able to explain to them the difference between true capitalism and crony capitalism to these socialists. That's what's really going on here. They think they're all sanctimonious and self-righteous because they believe in socialism. They believe that they're the egalitarians, the good guys, the ones for the blue-collar workers, the everyday person, the little guy, the downtrodden, the women, the marginalized, all that, right? So you better explain. Everybody's got to explain what's going on here, how our heads are being messed up with propaganda on both sides, and by the same people are doing it. They want us divided at each other's throats. So we can be ineffectual. So we're always perpetually off balance. We can never get it together. It's overwhelming. It's never going to work. It's just be happy when your guy's in office and we'll be miserable when he's not, our guy's not, and vice versa, and we'll just play. Oh my God, we're so screwed up. We're so screwed up. My God almighty, help us. But these people are being paid, and they got handlers at these, these marches and stuff. These special, that's what they are. They're being paid by the likes of George Soros. I mean, they get volunteers. Believe me, they can get volunteers that think that they're doing the right thing. So they get a lot of people volunteer. They get, they're very active in social media. They can get these marches together and get, thousands upon thousands of people to come to them So, that's what they like. They like that scene. They like those optics. They want to be intimidating. They want people to know, hey, you're going to hear my voice. I'm the squeaky wheel, even though they don't have an argument. I mean, I never hear anything coming from these people that's substantive. Like, what are your demands? What do you really want? What do you want to see happen in America? What trend? What are your complaints? What's your supplication? How would you have it if you had your way? How would it be socially speaking, economically speaking, politically speaking?